if you guys are proof of work miners, we do have some bigger issues going on with one of the alternative proof of work networks that you would presumably move to post merge, right? And that's going to be Firo. Firo basically has a community blog post going on here. And they say Firo upcoming tokenomics change. Okay, this is coming from Firo.org, straight from the horse's mouth, as they may say. The upcoming block reward change to Firo will be one of the biggest changes and, in our eyes, one of the biggest improvements to the Firo project to date. We are empowering our community more so than ever before. Put your party hats on and get ready to celebrate. I would say hold on, take those party hats, set them aside, maybe grab a whiskey and a cigar, so you can contemplate this a little bit more deeply. As many of you may already be aware, we as a community have been discussing the tokenomics and funding issues, specifically how block rewards are divided and the massive opportunities this could award both us both as a project and as a community have taken advantage of, which is exactly what we're doing. For those that are unaware or would like a refresher, these discussions happened publicly in several forum posts that our project steward, Ruben Yap, started back in February of 2022, which you can read here under the Firo Improvement Proposals category of the community forum. Some of the key highlights and takeaway messages, and in Ruben's own words, quote, Firo has two issues: newly mined supply of Firo is being sold and the lack of community participation due to the existence of a dev reward and difficulty of getting funding to do work for Firo, end quote, RY. Breaking this down, the Firo core team took a step back recently to look at some of the problems raised and engage the community in discussions over a period of time to examine the incentive structure of the project. The solution arrived at was to change the way block rewards are divided, first of all, empower those who wish to contribute to the project, build community ownership, and also ensure the incentives are aligned with the roles that master nodes and miners play in Firo's security model and ecosystem. Can you tell where this is going? I hear this a lot. Well, maybe it's always going to be a hybrid model. It should be proof of work as well as some noding. And I'm always like, no, it should just be proof of work. You just need to figure out how to secure your network. And the reason for that is inevitably, I've seen this multiple times on multiple projects that have noding or some sort of staking along with mining. Inevitably, Helium, the most recent example, inevitably, the miners end up getting their rewards stripped and the nodes end up getting more payout. And that's exactly what's happening here. Let's get the details. Miners, especially when mining with commodity hardware, have been one of Firo's key pillars. It allows an easy, permissionless way to acquire Firo to build Firo's community and allows fair and anonymous distribution of Firo's supply that bypasses any need for intermediaries or exchanges. They also provide a decentralized consensus mechanism that is not heavily reliant on data center infrastructure, resistant to outages, and requires continuous ongoing effort to control. However, pure proof of work blockchains face their own set of challenges, which we won't get into at this time, other than to say that this is reflected in Firo's history. There are ways, Firo, and there have been ways that people have pointed this out before to prevent exactly what they're going to talk about. But also, if you're going to make a huge consensus mechanism change, you should probably get into it at this time. Whatever your reasonings are, additional reasonings that you didn't state in this post, guess what? You should go ahead and state them because you need to have a solid reason behind it. If it makes the post longer, I don't think any of us would mind because we would want to know the thinking and reasoning behind it. The idea that you won't get into it at this time tells us that you don't have valid reasons or well thought out reasons necessarily, and that is part of the problem here. As some of you may remember, when Firo's consensus was secured purely by miners and was under attack, no efforts were made by miners to defend the chain. In some vein, Firo's miners are overly concentrated in a single mining pool, over 80%. despite numerous calls for them to spread out the hash rate. Obviously, this has always been a problem early on, especially early on within proof of work chains, where you need some sort of way to essentially protect from 51% attacks. And yes, it did take something like Ethereum Classic quite some time to get this sorted out. There are ways to do it though. This isn't a problem that is unique to Firo. Many other GPU mined chains have also experienced similar 51% attacks. So their main reason for this, just to give you guys an idea, is the threat of 51% attacks. At least that's what they're stating. They say there are other reasons, but they aren't actually talking about them. So this is the only reason we have for sure. Firo today employs a hybrid mechanism that leverages both miners and masternodes to secure the chain. Masternodes provide the primary consensus, immediate block finality, and transaction security, while miners continue to propose transactions, provide coin distribution, and a fallback security mechanism in the event huge parts of the masternode network go down. This hybrid dual layer of security combines the best of both worlds and requires an attacker to bring down both the masternode network and also mount sufficient hash rate to do a 51% attack, greatly increasing the cost to do so. This shift towards a dual layer hybrid security system had not yet been accounted for in the block reward division, but that is only one part of the problem we have sought to fix. Let's talk about community and the role it has and take a big deep dive into some of the community metrics. Our community is not just important to us, it is us. We recognize that there is a need for community fund. Yeah. So we've learned one thing so far. We have learned that they are going to value masternodes over mining. And now we are learning that they are going to value community, or some sort of community fund. There's going to be a percentage of it. They're going to value that over mining as well. Your rewards are about to get stripped as miners on Firo. To reward and incentivize the community in a similar way to how we reward core developers, miners, and masternodes. Firo has a large and vibrant community that is simply not being rewarded and hence not being leveraged, and yet it is our biggest strength by far. Leveraging and empowering our community lies at the heart of this solution. Firo's amazing dedicated community consists of 81,000 followers on Twitter, 32,000 followers on Facebook, and 4.5 thousand active members on Telegram, 11,000 active members on Discord, and of course YouTube channel and subreddit and more. These are enviable community figures. Enviable. Yeah, there we go. Ask any new crypto project what is top of their to-do list, and you'll always get the same answer or some version of build a community. Firo's community is already epic for want of a better word. Community created Firo punks, anyone? And we have the numbers to back it up. So the question then arose, how do we incentivize the awesome and large community we have to do things such as develop products and applications for Firo, as well as create videos, write articles, or create hilarious and thought-provoking memes? The answer is a community fund, which we will directly plug into our already existing crowdfunding system. By doing so, we are effectively rerouting Firo back into our network, where newly issued Firo is used to build Firo. Newly issued Firo comes from what? It comes from solving blocks. Where does that come from? That comes from the miners. How are these projects getting paid out? They're getting paid out from the miners. This is a mess. New block reward division and faster block time. Let's get into it, guys. Looking at this problem from above, we saw that Firo's incentive mechanism, our block reward division, needed an upgrade. This is basically changing the monetary policy, guys. Not only was our current security protocol not accurately reflected, but also the community was lacking firepower. Block reward division was an obvious place to look for a solution. Based on these findings, an initial poll was created to gauge community sentiment for a block reward division change. As the vote was pretty tight, the top two options were then taken and several intermediate options were also added, which eventually evolved into the final poll. The poll ended Thursday on the 5th of May and the results are followed. 50% masternodes, previously 35%. So they've upped it 15% on the masternodes, 25% to the miners, previously 50%. So they've stripped 25% of the mining rewards, 15% dev reward. It's always had a dev fee. And then they took another 10%, obviously adding up to the 25% they took from the miners for a community fund, which is previously 0%. They took it all from the miners. They didn't take some from the devs. They didn't even bother to balance it out with masternodes, maybe like 35% miners, 35% masternodes. They stripped the rewards from the miners and they gave it to masternodes and community. Miners will continue to have a strong stake in Firo with an agreed upon 25% block reward, meaning that effectively we are freeing up a new 25% reward, which will be reallocated to masternodes plus 15% and a brand new community fund 10%. We just covered that. Additionally, the block time will be reduced to 2.5 minutes and the block rewards adjusted to reflect the lower block time. This will allow for faster confirmations, even for exchanges or wallets that do not support Firo's instant send. You should stick with layer 2 for increasing, of course, your speed. We've already talked about this plenty on the channel, so I also disagree with reducing the block times, but that's me. So how's the new community fund work? The community fund will directly fulfill funding requests on the existing Firo crowdfunding system, which has previously and successfully funded the Lelantis Spark cryptography audit. The decision to fund these requests will be decided by a community elected committee referred to as the Community Fund Committee, or the CFC, that is control outside of the consensus mechanism and not something I like to see. That is similar to, of course, the Ethereum Foundation. Don't like it. The CFC can also independently choose to initiate projects to fund, which would be tracked on the Firo crowdfunding system. The nominations for CFC members are underway and are open to any long-standing Firo member. To maintain the independence of the CFC from the Firo core team, no full-time core team members are allowed to stand on the CFC. They are basically copying Ethereum. This is just disgusting, boys. The plan is for the community fund to eventually evolve to a more decentralized model, becoming a community. No, this is going to form a more centralized model. Like, I can't even read that without stopping and saying, no, that is not what's happening. It's not a more decentralized model. You do not create a board that is going to maintain basically a portion of the funds that are getting paid out from the block reward to that is closed system, even if they are voted upon. That doesn't become more decentralized. That becomes more centralized, okay? And becoming a community matching fund utilizing quadratic voting as used by Gitcoin, which you can read about further here. The idea is that the fund would match existing donations to a particular proposal and would weigh the amount matched based on the interest received from the community. When will it be implemented? We plan to roll out these changes in a new software release, which should take place in about 2 weeks. So you have 2 weeks to mine Firo, I guess, if you think it's going to go up from here. I don't think it will personally, but it will be about a month before the ecosystem updates fully. This places an activation time of these changes at approximately mid-June 2022. We also will complete the election of the Community Fund Committee shortly after activation. There is an agreed upon 6-month review and evaluation of block reward change in Community Fund. While it is not envisioned that major changes or overhauls will need to be executed, this time period is being earmarked so that the core team and the Firo community can evaluate the impacts of the block reward change and see how the changes have affected Firo in real time. So they do say for you what to do if you want to participate. If you want to be a part of the Community Fund Committee or know someone who would be suitable, go ahead and post the nomination here. This is just a mess. Next, shout out from the rooftops and tell the world. You can start by sharing this blog post. This is honestly a very exciting time for Firo. You know what, guys? Do we have enough people? Nominations are closed. I was going to say, go nominate me, boys. Put me on the committee. See how that goes down. This is honestly a very exciting time for Firo. We've been cracking ahead with development partnerships, campaigns, and listings since the start of 2022, and we're not stopping. The block reward division change is just another positive addition to the future-proof developments we're making. This is a terrible idea. This shouldn't be being done. There are other ways to secure the network from 51% attacks. They did not provide us with the rest of the information or reasoning behind doing this, but it clearly looks like it is a way for them to generate, obviously, more funds to specifically people within the community that are not securing the network. and that is the opposite direction of where you would expect a cryptocurrency to go. And I'm against it. I'll just come out and say I'm against it. It's not financial advice, and I, it is what it is. But Firo's dead. Mark that one off your list for proof of work post-merge. Mark it off your list. I hope you enjoyed this clip from the Crypto Mining Morning Show every Monday through Friday, 7:45 a.m. Pacific and 10:45 a.m. Eastern Time. You can check out more clips here, or if you're interested in checking out the entire live show, you can check that out down here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next Tuesday.